Morning. We are working on a worksheet today and our homework packet to practice box and whisker plot. We'll go back to the book tomorrow. All right. First, you guys are all working on this absolute value. How is that going? We practiced a couple together at the beginning of the week. And I saw people about halfway done with this page of this worksheet. How's it going? Is it becoming a little more clear?
I'm almost done with it.
Okay, let's take a look at number 6. Take a look at number 6. I'll make it bigger. There's something we need to do before we start looking at the positive and negative version of this. What do I need to do as a first step in this problem, Jerry?
Add 14.
Add a 14. Anything outside the absolute value, you want to move it to the other side of the equation. It was a negative 14, so I add a positive 14 to get those two to cancel out. Because I'm adding a 14 here, I also have to add a 14 on the other side, so I end up with 32, absolute value of 9s. Now that I have it down to just absolute value and numbers on the other side, I think about the positive version of this equation and the negative version of this equation. I take what's inside and first just bring it out. Second, I times it by a negative 1. In both cases, it's a one-step solve. 9 times s, so I need to divide. It doesn't go evenly.
It's going to be a fraction.
What's the fraction, Brody?
It's 9 and 4 22.
Okay, 9 and 4 32s, or negative 9 and 4 32s. Okay? Let's see. All right. So good. So these, let's take a look down here at this absolute value equation. Number 9. Myra, what do I got to do as a first step? Minus a 3, minus a 3. Negative. That's weird that it has that negative inside the absolute value. Let's see what we're going to do with that. My first guess is, why do they have that negative inside the absolute value?
Because it's the h times minus 3.
Yeah, I still think we're going to need to do two versions. One, we're just going to take it straight out. And one, we're going to times it by a negative 1, which ends up making it positive. So at this stage, we split this into two separate equations with different signs in front. Right, Andy?
Yep.
Yes, Jerry.
Wouldn't there be like more than two answers then? Because the negative 3h on the left side is in the absolute value.
I think we could do this in a different way, but we're still going to have two answers. Okay, let's look at what we get. We get h equals negative 1.
And h equals just 1.
And h equals 1. One thing you can do if you're not sure if you did things right is you check by putting it back into the original equation. So let's take a look. I'll do that on separate paper. When you come up with answers and you're like, I wasn't really 100% sure on the steps, then you go back to the original equation. And we're going to check it for h equals 1 and h equals negative 1. Okay? So h equals 1, check. Negative 3 times 1, absolute value, plus 3 equals 6. Negative 3, absolute value, plus 3 equals 6. 3 plus 3 equals 6. 6 equals 6. So it works for the 1. H equals negative 1. Check. Negative 3. Put a negative 1 in for H. What's negative 3 times negative 1?
Negative
Three.
What's the absolute value of positive 3?
3.
So the two that we found work. Okay? So we found a 1 and a minus 1. All right? So you continue to work on this. You already, on your homework packet, know how to do the first page. Did anybody have questions on this first page? Okay, first page, you make a long line. You got to figure out what's the smallest and largest number. If I look at the first data set, it looks like 0 is the smallest number. What's the largest number?
I think 15.
15. So you're going to need to make yourself enough marks to have 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 15. And then above each data set, you're putting an X. Yes? Okay, so these are dot plots. And also notice it says describe the distribution. So you should be looking at it after you're done and decide, is it symmetric, skewed left, or skewed right? Okay? So that's page 1. Page 2 is the absolute value. And page 3 we're going to look at together today. This is not dot plot. This is box and whisker. And we looked at how to do that yesterday. We need 5 numbers out of our data in order to make a box and whisker. Before we get those 5 numbers, we take the data and line it up from smallest to largest. Now I see I have 0 as my smallest number. How many zeros do we have?
2.
2. So I'm going to go 0, 0, and I'm going to cross those out in my list. What's the next biggest number?
1.
There's 1, 2 ones right here.
One more.
And there's another and one after the and. There's 4 total ones. As I put them in order, I'm just going to scratch them off my list. Okay? Now I look for the next biggest number up. I have a 2 way down the line. I see 1 here? Oh, good. And 1 back here. I almost forgot. Good job. Oh, there's 1 right at the beginning, too. There's 3 2s. Okay. Double check. No more hiding 2s. Now I have a 3 here and a 3 there. I see 2 3s. Are you with me? Goodbye to that one. Goodbye to that one. Be systematic about this. And then there's a 4. And then there is an 8 and a 9.
There's 5.
Oh. Where's the 5? 5 is way back ahead. 5, 8, 9. All right.
I heard that over there.
Excuse me. Now we can double check by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers in our original data set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers in my repositioned line. Good. Now, our 5 numbers. 1's the min. That's easy. 1's the max. That's easy. There's 2. 1's exactly in the middle. Okay, so if I had 15, I'm going to count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from that side. Here's the number that's exactly in the middle. Do you remember what that one's called?
The median.
Median. Okay, so now from this median, if I'm just looking at the bottom half, I got to find the exact middle. Okay, so this is, let's see, there's 8 going this way, 8 going that way if I include the median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have this number right here. And that is, or is it right in between? It should be right in between, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Right in between these, it's going to be the average of 1 and 1. Okay, and that's Q1. Now from the median, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So from between the median and the max, if I include the median, there's 8. So in between those, what's going to be between 3 and 4? 3.5. And that's going to be Q3. So I needed my 5 numbers. The 2 ends are easy, the middle's pretty easy, and then you got to kind of divide this up to find the quarters. Okay, now we draw a number line and we do number it in evenly spaced numbers from 1 to 9. Evenly spaced. Please, did I turn this guy on? Yes, good. 4, 5. I could have stretched it out a little farther, but oh, you guys didn't tell me you couldn't see all of my numbers. Okay, you put dots at the min, max, median was 2. Look at that. Pretty far skewed, yes? Our Q1 is 1, and our Q3 is between 3 and 4. So our min was 0, there's 1 dot. Our Q1 was 1, there's a second dot at 1. Our median was at 2, there's that dot. Our Q3 was at 3.5, there's this dot, and our max is over here at 9. We're going to draw our box. We start with the ends there at Q1 and Q3. The median's in the middle, and for a while it's not connected. So the box starts with the one that's 1 over from that side and 1 over from this side. There's our box. You put a line through the median in that box to show where it is. Brody, is this matching what you have?
Yeah.
Then you're going to draw one long whisker this way with a little line at the end, and one short whisker this way with a little line at the end. Now we're going to remind ourselves, too, what these quartiles mean. Quarter means 25%. We've broken them into 4s. When you look at this, you can see how far this is skewed one direction. Okay? Remember, we would call this skew right, because the right whisker is so long. And what that means is the majority is over on the left. The majority are low numbers over on the left. And wait, what is this? Number of pets owned by students. Okay, so the majority of the students are right here. The majority own between 1 and 3.5 pets. the median is 2. Half own below 2, half own above 2. You have a couple people over here with tons of pets. This is Andy. Okay, who else? Who else has a ton of pets in this crew?
I got 150.
Okay, so Andy is skewing things toward a lot of pets, whereas most of us have a smaller number of pets. Okay, this is what the skew to the right means, is you have a couple people way over here that makes the data look bad. If we did an average and just threw him into the average, you know, it would move things off of where the majority is. One thing this kind of plot does is help you focus in on where is the really bigger part of our group. Okay, now you guys go ahead and do number 2 at your tables. I'm going to walk around and what was step 1?
Write all the numbers. Don't cross them out. Find
Numbers in order. That's step 1. What's the second step? What?
Finding the min, the max, and the median.
Find all those 5 points. Find 5 points. Min, max, median, Q1, Q3. Okay, and then the line is one of your last steps. Okay, so then you graph. Okay, I'm walking around and